Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well this morning. I want to talk with you all today and ask the question, are you nice to your family? Are you nice to your children? Are you nice to your wife? Are you nice to your husband? Now, granted, guys, we know that sometimes people's family relations are not all on par. It may not have anything to do with you on a whole, but the choices that they are making. Some people have family members that no matter how much you're trying to be close to them and no matter how much you're being loyal and kind to them, they resist it, or they're hurtful and they're disrespectful. And so sometimes you have to separate, sometimes you have to limit access, set boundaries. I understand that. It could be your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your children, even your wife or your husband. Sometimes that husband or that wife is doing all the right things, but that spouse is in a place that they are doing what they want to do and they are not receiving, and they are making things difficult. Sometimes children can be that way. That is understandable. And in all that, guys, all you can do is pray for them. You pray for them, you lift them up before the Lord, and let God deal with them. Okay? And so there's nothing wrong with if you have to set your boundaries in those cases. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who they mistreat their own people, but outside the house, you are like the citizen of the year. You're a great dad to everybody else's children but your own. You are a great mom to everybody else's children but your own. You are a wonderful citizen and considerate husband to everybody else's wife but your own. You are a wonderful and considerate woman and a great wife to everybody else's husbands but your own. Because there's a deliberate decision that I'm going to be one way out the house, but one way when I'm with my own family. There are people who they work in the children's church, or they work with children, and they're out in the community and they're a youth leader, or they're doing stuff outside in the community, as I said before, where they are patient, considerate, they have a listening ear, they are kind outside their home. But when they come home, it's something completely different. The family is going to pay for the frustrations of your day because you were so considerate and you were able to hold in your feelings with strangers and those at your job or those who you deem to be important. But with your own family, they're not going to get that. And that's not the nature of God. It's really not. That's truly, guys, if you can be one way outside your home, you can be patient, you can listen, you can curb your anger, you know how to refrain from speaking, but then you come home and you're a certain way, and you can switch up back and forth like that. The Bible says a double-minded man, meaning all human, man or woman, they're unstable in all their ways. A person who has no rule over their spirit is like a city without walls. It's not safe. And while, yes, there may be things you're going through and the hardships of life, but ironically, these individuals will be able to act right and do right with everybody else, with a stranger. Sometimes you could be the type of person where your family is under so much duress with you that when company comes over, they love it because at least for that time they feel safe. At least for that time they feel some happiness. At least for that moment they will have some peace. because company's around. And when company's around, then you are on your best behavior. You're decent towards them. You're nice towards them for the sake of your company. And so if you're able to carry yourself and do what's right, if you're able to do what's right when others are not, when others are around, you're able to do what's right when you're with other people, it means that you know how to do right. These individuals know how to behave, but they choose not to do it with their own. Are you nice to your own, to those of your house? Are you willing to pray with your own family? Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to give a listening ear? Are you willing to give that same level of compassion to those of your own house? The same level of understanding to your son and your daughter? Or are you different? Are you a different person? Depend on where you are. You have men who are so sweet and kind, women outside of that man's home, or women who he's presently interested in, that can say such great things about him and how kind and how sensitive he is, and he's a good listener, while his wife is at home broken down and crying because of him. While there are other women in his past who he has used and abused and broken their spirits. There are women who someone outside the house can say how considerate and kind and loving she is and patient. She thinks about him and all of that. She's a good listener. She's friendly. But at home, her husband don't even know what breakfast is anymore. She's rude, she's cold, she's calculating towards him. But everybody else outside the house can say how wonderful she is. The man of who she's interested now can say how charismatic and funny she is and relatable. But there's others in the past who she has swindled and done wrong to. And anyone that can behave this way does not have the Spirit of God within them. For them to be able to switch around and change up, the Bible says that the devil comes masquerading as an angel of light. And that behavior is that of a masquerader. And so those traits and those abilities to switch up and to morph, to transform into whatever you need to transform into at that moment, is deception. And deception is the absolute staple characteristic of Satan. People don't like to talk about the devil. They don't like to talk about him, but they like to do his deeds. But they don't want to talk about him. They don't want to claim him. But he don't care about you claiming him, because he don't care about you. As long as listen, I'm getting ready to go into a department store right now. I will go right here into Target. Target don't care if I claim him. The whoever owns Target, they don't care. As long as I'm going in there and spending money, that's all they care about. They don't care about me caring how I feel personally about them. Just go ahead and buy what you said you're going to buy. That's all. So guys, when it comes to the devil, he don't care. You can say all you want. You can claim and rename yourself all you want. As long as you are doing his deeds, is all he cares about. And so guys, it gets right back to what I said. What kind of person are you? Everyone else outside your home can say a lot of things about you, but what does your family say about you? What does your wife say about you? What does your children have to say about you and your behaviors and the things that you are doing and how you treat them? Many people are getting citizens awards at the job and in their community. And they have prisoners of war in their houses. Carnage, tears, broken belt buckles, and secrets and hurt in their home. What we have to remember, especially when you said that you're a believer in the Lord, is that your family are souls. When the Bible says, do unto others as you will have them do unto you, that includes your family. When the Bible says, if you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me, whether you've done good or whether you've done evil, when you did it to the least of these, you've done it to me, that includes your family. Love your neighbor as yourself. Your closest neighbor are those of your household. And too often there are people believers of God, who are mistreating those in their own house, bypassing them and going out the door to go take care of the needs of others. And God is looking at that. Are you nice to those of your own house? This is something just to think about. You don't have to answer me. Just something for you to think on, because there are lots of people, lots of Christians who are going to find themselves hearing, "Depart from me," over situations and issues and people that they never once thought God would consider, because they have reduced their families just to them folks, that boy, that girl, the wife, the husband. And not realizing that's a soul. And God pays attention to their hurt and to their pain and the neglect and the rejection and the abuse and the mean things that's said. You're going to give an account for it. How can I say that? Because the Bible says when we stand before God, we're going to give an account for every idle word that we have spoken and every deed. So it's not going anywhere. And that's why the Bible says the books are going to be open. And then there's going to be the book, which is the book of life. And the Lord is going to go through all that we did. That's all recorded in the books. And after that, he is going to open the book of life to see if your name is in there. And if you're here, already know if you're in there or not. But he's going to go through all that just with us. Is your name in the book? And there are many people that's going to miss God. They would have done all sorts of wonderful things outside their home. There's a lot of people that would have done wonderful things within their own community, with their own people, their own color skin folks. But when it came to those of their own home or someone outside of their race or whatever, that's what God looks at. So guys, I would just encourage you to be prayerful. I encourage you to search your hearts before the Lord. And there's nothing that's impossible. Yes, maybe you were raised a certain way. You were taught this is how you raise your kids. This is what you saw growing up. But that's not any excuse, because God is able to help you if you're willing to yield to him and go through the process of going through whatever makes you do the things that you're doing. God will show you. He will help you to identify it. He will show you where you first came up with that behavior, and he will help you through the process of change and transformation. So when people, no one's going to be able to stand before God and say, well, my mom did this and my dad did this and this is how I grew up and I was abandoned. Because in other words, you're saying what your mom and your dad did was greater than God. You see? All right, guys, let's grow together. God bless.